We good?
Yeah, we're recording. That was my
Okay,
signal.
we're good?
Yeah.
We'll trim all this part out at the beginning, but...
No, we will keep it in.
We'll keep it in? Okay.
Sure, why not?
Well, what's going on, guys, and welcome to another edition of the very special and very cool that everyone loves Natty State Sports Gambling Show. And on years past, back in the day when we did this show, we were talking NFL, UFC, NBA, whatever. Today, it's going to be very simple. It's March Madness. It's time to talk March Madness. It's time to talk about the NCAA men's basketball tournament, maybe even some BIT, some NIT, whatever we're feeling. It's postseason basketball, and the Arkansas Razorbacks are not involved in this, which, is unfortunate for us and for everyone in the state of Arkansas, but it allows us to channel our energy into all the money that we are about to win during this March Madness trip. So, boys, how we feeling? It's March Madness.
I feel a lot better now that Arkansas is not in it, so then I don't have to bet with my heart. I can just bet with my mind instead. So it's
Your
a good
sharp
part.
Gambling mind.
Yes, my sharp gambling mind that I'm sure is going to have surefire bets.
No, I'm ready. I'm ready to rock, and that Mississippi State, Michigan State game can't get here fast enough. I like one of the lines in that game. Ready to hop on it from the jump.
I like watching basketball and not covering it, so that'll be fun.
Someone did tell me that you and Scotty, y'all do like basketball, so I figured this would work out. We would have some good hashtag takes on this, but boys, let's just jump right into the action. We don't no wasting any time. Let's talk about this East region. For those counting at home, UConn is plus 100 to win this region. They are the number one overall seed. I'd say the favorite. I think 25% of all brackets have UConn winning the entire tournament, so it's kind of they're your chalk pick. I think most of us probably picked them to win our national title.
Guilty.
Auburn's plus 400 to win this region. Iowa State plus 400 and Illinois plus 750. Curtis, I'm just going to ask you, is UConn winning this region?
Yes. Plain and simple.
I like that they're even odds.
They just seem so much better than everybody else. And anybody can get got on a given night, but what they did in the Big East, they are just beating the hell out of everybody. And I don't see why that would change now. They're so good.
Well, you just get the feeling that they're going to make if they're going to face trouble, it'll be in the Final Four. It'll be later, maybe even Elite Eight. We probably won't even have to worry about it. We can talk about the games here in a second, but at least their first two, we really don't even have to think about it. They'll probably be double-digit favorites in their second round game. So it's they're the safest bet, I feel to make a deep run in this tournament.
It is kind of crazy to think about a potential UConn FAU round of 32 matchup when both of those teams were in the Final Four last year. And, FAU has the whole squad back. I know it's been kind of a disappointing year for them. A lot of people were thinking they might be out of the tournament, and they wind up with an 8 seed. I think we'll probably talk about this a lot. Some of the seeding is crazy, and that impacts the lines in these matchups. But they're not going to lose that game. But that's a Final Four caliber matchup from last year. I'd look forward to watching that in the second round. Man, it's crazy.
I might get smacked around for saying this, but I think their toughest game on a path to the Final Four might be Auburn.
Oh,
Dude.
Oh.
I'm in on Auburn.
That'd be rough to see. Though.
I'm in on Auburn. I think Auburn can give them a game.
Dude, I got a stat to share on Auburn.
Even if
you
actually feel that way, don't ever say that kind of stuff out loud. What are we talking about
Don't ever
here?
say that stuff to me again.
Do not share those things. Keep those feelings down below. Do not do any of that. But I guess we'll just hop right into the game aspect of this. So UConn is a 26-point favorite against Stetson. I believe they're like the Hatters, the Mad Hatters.
Hatters, man.
The
Yeah.
Hatters. The over-under is 145.5 in that game. They're lined up with, obviously, FAU, who is a 2.5-point favorite over Northwestern. The over-under is 141.5 in that game. Does anyone see any potential controversy stewing here?
No, I don't. I think it could be a game where UConn's up by 33 or 34 with 6 minutes left. They pull their guys, and then you're sweating the last stretch of that game to see if UConn actually covers.
I hate those big spreads, those 116s and 215s. I try to stay away from them as much as I can.
There's
no margin for error at all.
Yeah.
UConn starts off down 8-2, and they have to call a timeout. They're not covering 26 points. It's over right away. Does anybody now? Obviously, we don't have the lines for what the second round matchup would be, but between FAU and Northwestern, do either of those teams have any chance whatsoever at making noise, making this a game?
I think FAU really does. They've got a guy in John L. Davis who is one of the best guards in the country. They got all those dudes back from last year. And then they got Big Vlad Golden in the paint to kind of counteract the Donovan Clingan dude. Like
a lot of seniors, huh?
Yeah, well, they're all juniors, which is crazy. Like, they could come back next year if they wanted to. Dusty May ain't going to be there. But I think they could make it interesting. But I got to be honest, like, I'm picking FAU to win this game. But don't sleep on Northwestern. Like, Northwestern beat Purdue this season. They've got a dude named Boo Buie, who I don't know what his over-under for points is set at, but I'm going over. Like, the dude is legit, and he's got an all-tournament name. So just, keep an eye on the Wild. It's not a given that FAU wins that game.
I feel like there's always the team that's like the Cinderella darling, and then they come back in the tournament, and it's not they're unable to replicate that run. I mean, obviously they're probably not going to go to the Final Four, but I just think about like VCU whenever they made their huge run, and I think they were like an 8 seed the next year, and everyone was like, "Oh, VCU, they're going to do it again," and it never works out that way. I mean, Eric Musselman kind of was like that with Nevada, where he makes the Sweet 16, and they were like the darling, and they come back the next year, and it's just not the same feel.
I feel like Butler's probably the only team that ever pulled that off.
Yeah,
when they went to back-to-back national championship
That's a good one.
Well, that is true. Yeah, I guess Butler, they did go back-to-back national championship. Wichita State had a little run where it's like, I feel like with them, Gonzaga, who is now graduated to like an actual blue blood, but those teams, like when you least expect them to make the run, that's when they make their run. But we'll see if FAU has staying power as an unlikely March hero every year. But going on down the line a little bit, we got San Diego State UAB, which I believe is a 5-12 matchup. This is the same region. San Diego State is favored by 6.5, and the over/under is 138.5. I really like San Diego State. I've bet on them a few times this year. Who are these lines
from?
These are from Oaklawn. Our boys over at Oaklawn.
Okay.
In Hot Springs.
I like it. Yeah, familiar.
You heard of them? Yeah.
I've heard of them.
That's where the lines are from. They are matched up with Auburn-Yale. Auburn is 12.5-point favorites in that game. Over/under 140.5. How do that's an exciting little 4-5 potential clash there. A little nice test for both of them. What do y'all think?
Well, dude, UAB is so dangerous. So dangerous. I hate that they're matched up with San Diego State here because those dudes are so tough and so physical, and they've got a bunch of dudes who played in a national championship game last year. So, like, you get in those first-round tournament games sometimes, and the higher seeds, like, it's a close game and things are getting dicey. They get lemon booty, right? Yeah. San Diego State, they ain't worried about it. Like, they've been there, done that. So I feel like they cover that easily. Auburn and Yale, what'd you say that line was for that one?
12.5 Auburn is favored, but that's a lot of points, I feel like.
That's my lock. That is my lock of this tournament. And the reason why...
It's my lock of the tournament, too. I was ready to pull that one out.
That's my lock. 25 of Auburn's 27 wins this season have come by more than a dozen points.
Yep.
Why wouldn't they do it to Yale?
They beat people.
Me and John
sleep.
were talking about this the other day. You remember we looked it up? Because we saw a stat on SEC Network, and it was like Auburn has won 24 straight double-digit wins or something like that. And we were like, we thought it was literally like just a messed up stat. We were like, what are you talking about? They've lost, obviously, 7 or 8 games. All of their wins for like dating back to whatever, double digits, including the SEC championship, where they just won by whatever. They beat South Carolina by 150. When they win, they win.
Yeah, they win, and they've done it against a lot better teams than Yale. No offense.
Yeah,
but yeah, I think they're going to blow them out.
Yale, who escaped via buzzer beater against Brown in the Ivy League championship game.
Yeah.
That did happen.
Game-winning buzzer beater.
But going back to your point about San Diego State, of like they're a tough team to catch. Because they're an older team, they just defend really well. But I feel like San Diego State, just as a program, is almost immune to like the 5-12 tournament matchup because their style of play is very sustainable. Like they're gonna muck it up. They're gonna play good defense. Like they're expecting to be in a dogfight.
Yeah.
So to Curtis's point, it's like you're not gonna scare them if it's 59-54 with 4 minutes left. Like that's where they live. That's their comfort zone.
Yeah, Jaden. Hey, if you don't have any skin in this game and you just want to watch a couple players that could be matched up, Jaden Ledee from San Diego State and Yaxel Lindeborg at UAB. Lindeborg was the Defensive Player of the Year in UAB's league, and Jaden Ledee is a bona fide grown man. So that'll be a lot of fun to watch. But yeah, I'm with y'all. I think Auburn boat races Yale.
I'm the only one that doesn't.
Really?
I'm actually taking Yale in the points. I'm not going to have them winning.
I like Yale.
I'm just saying that we talk about with the Auburn and then the SEC Tournament Championship, I don't know. There's just something about playing at an Ivy League school of a bunch of smart kids. It's like, they could mess around a little bit, may kind of overlook them a little bit, may feeling themselves a little bit. I don't know, but
brains versus bronze.
Yes. Because I'm going to actually have a plus 12.5 for Yale.
Just imagine Chad Baker Mazzara getting into the ear of one of those those white Yale guards, it's over. It's a wrap.
Think he's going to break them?
He's going to break the kid's soul.
We're talking about an Auburn team that's coached by Bruce Pearl, who, after a dude in the SEC title game, broke his leg in half.
Yep, it's true.
And the coach,
No
the players
mercy.
are crying. He comes back out from that long break, and he's full court press in Florida.
But he did.
Bruce ain't worried about nothing.
But he did say on his on a Instagram or Twitter video that he's praying for him.
Well, that's good. T's and
That's nice.
P's
Great
are
guy.
always good. You
Yeah.
got to send the T's
Cutthroat
and P's.
competitor.
Yeah.
Great man.
John, I'm going to put you on the spot here. Jackson Robinson, former Arkansas Razorback. Is he going to score 13 points against Duquesne this weekend?
I think so.
Oh, my gosh. It's set on that?
I think so.
Over under. I have
baby.
it a 12.5 is over under minus 117 for the under. I kind of like the under. I gotta be honest. As someone who has watched a lot of Jackson, every time I watch Jackson Robinson play basketball, he doesn't make shots. Like he's one of those dudes who's like good on paper, and like you see
Until
him
you
in the,
watch him.
you see him in the right context, and you're like, all right, cool. Every time I like look at him, and I'm like, oh, he's got an open look. Let's see if he make it. He misses it. Like BYU,
He
you
gets
want to watch
nervous when your
BYU,
eyes are on him.
and so my eyes are going to be on him this weekend. That's my lock of the tournament. Jackson Robinson under 12.5 points. Prove me wrong, Jax. We'll see. But going to his game, though, the 6 seed BYU Cougars, who have had a very fascinating season in their first year in the Big 12, they are 9.5 point favorites over Duquesne, over under 141.5 in that game. Early, y'all feeling good about BYU? I feel like they're a polarizing team. I'm the worst person to ask because I've lost more money on BYU, whether I bet on them to win or lose. I'm like a dog chasing my tail. I'm like, oh, they crushed me last time, so I'll bet on them this time, and then they would lose. And so I just go back and forth. It doesn't matter.
That seems like it's a volatile team to bet because they're dependent on the 3-point shot. Like they make what?
11.3 per game.
11.3 per
Best in
game.
the country.
Not bad.
They make more threes than Bama.
Yeah. But if
That's-
they're
yeah.
like they could be, I don't know, they could be on the hot seat if they're not knocking shots down. But I do like BYU in that game. Probably not going to have any skin in it though.
Yeah, I think there could be some value in what was it? 9.5?
9.5, yeah.
There could be some value there for
Duquesne?
Duquesne. I think something to keep an eye on though is BYU's big man Ali Khalifa, who is he's like the Jokic of college basketball, just big, out of shape dude who makes threes and passes like better than any big man in college basketball. He's questionable,
Ooh.
and so he's got a bum ankle. And if he's not playing, he's the dude who they run everything through him. Like it all starts with him for BYU. And if he's not playing, Duquesne could cover that easily. And if he is and he's hobbled around, like he's already slow, like they're going to attack that dude. So I wouldn't be surprised if Duquesne could cover that number, but I don't think BYU's at any risk of losing the game.
No.
Yeah, it's just funny because BYU, every time I think of them, I just always think of Jimmer Fredette.
Oh, yeah.
Always. And so, like, to hear that they're making as many threes as they are, it's like, man, I'm glad to see Jimmer Fredette ball still alive and well in BYU because that's what they do.
The teams that shoot threes, I feel like, are always the one where, like, could easily get bounced in the first round because they go 4 for 32 from 3, and you're like, oh, man, they just didn't make shots. But I could also see them making a huge run where you're like, if they're playing Arizona, I'm probably like, oh,
Well,
man,
wasn't
they
that what
can
happened to, was it A&M last year against Penn State? Was that who they played? Where
Yeah.
Penn State made
Oh
like
my
15
gosh,
threes.
yeah.
And
Yep.
so it was like, even though A&M may have played fine, it was like, you just can't do anything about that. So.
Yeah, that's the type of team you want to face if you're a lower seeded team because you can maybe catch them if you just defend the 3-point line. But if you're like a higher seeded team and you got like a 6 seed BYU, like if Iowa State ends up having to face those dudes, I'm like, Iowa State, it's a tough one because they're a better basketball team, but they could just give up 14 threes. It's been the last few years, teams with some type of sexual innuendo in their name have done really well in this tournament. I mean, we've got your Farley Dickinson, you got your St. Pete, you got your what's the other one? There's a few other ones. Oral Roberts made a nice run to the Sweet 16, I guess. Curtis, I'm going to ask you: does Morehead State are they going to keep that trend going? They are 11.5 point underdogs against Illinois.
Well, here's the deal. Like you're either going to have to go with Morehead or Longwood. Like one of the two have to win in this tournament. Morehead probably has a better chance than Longwood does. Like Illinois, they've had a heck of a year, and Terrence Shannon is awesome. Like he's really come a long way, but it's still the DNA of the team that we watched in Des Moines last year. Like they're still relying on those same guys who are very hit or miss. And
Coleman Hawkins.
yeah, Coleman
putting him on
Hawkins if he
fraud check?
decides to show up or not. So, I mean, I'm probably going to put some money on Morehead to cover that at least.
11.5.
Tell you the truth.
That's
I don't
not
know if
bad.
they'll get the upset done, but like if you look at some of these 3-14 matchups, like if I was to pick one, this might be it.
Yeah, I mean, and just we don't have the lines for the second round games that have not been scheduled yet. But just kind of looking ahead to BYU Illinois, both teams favored by about 10 points in their first game. That's a really fun second round matchup if it gets there. But I also wouldn't be stunned if we had Moorhead versus Duquesne in the second round.
Man.
One of those like weird ones.
If the Khalifa kid is healthy, like in I think the bracket I did for our challenge that we're doing, I think I had BYU going to the Elite Eight.
I think
Man.
What's crazy is like
on some teams.
I filled out my own bracket. I should know. I was so hesitant on BYU every game they were in, where I'm like, I think I might have had them losing in the first, but I might have had them in the Elite Eight too. Like it's
Same.
like I really don't remember. They definitely didn't lose in the first in my bracket, but it's like
Yeah.
they're all over the place. You could talk me in one way or the other, and we're gonna feel stupid no matter what happens.
True.
Drake versus Wazoo. We're moving down. We're down to the last little section of this eastern region. So Wazoo is a 1.5 point underdog as a 7 seed against a 10 seed, which, it's very interesting when you have the higher seeded team not favored in these games.
I usually bet those when that happens.
I think
it's-
they're always kind of fishy. I remember when Middle Tennessee was a 12 seed favored over a 5 seed one year, and it was like, what the hell? These things are always kind of weird, but Drake, 1.5 favorites. The over-under is 138 in that game. Does anybody have any leaning here? Washington State is just not a team you're used to seeing in the NCAA tournament. John, when's the last time? You're the oldest of this group, right? When's
Actually,
the
I
last
think Curtis
time?
is, but I'll take it.
You're the wisest of this group,
that's
so
fair.
I
fair.
give you the
Yeah.
nod.
Yeah.
When's the last time you've seen Washington State in the NCAA tournament?
Probably the last time I saw Washington State in like a Year 6 bowl game. It's been a long time.
Last time I watched Washington State was when Klay Thompson played there.
Yeah,
man.
I did.
Yeah,
I don't
that's
think he
right.
made the tournament, right? Maybe.
Probably, I don't know.
Maybe he did.
I
Who
really
knows?
Either
don't
way,
know.
we have not seen Wazoo in the NCAA
No,
tournament.
but I got it. That's just a fascinating game because Drake. I'm not gonna sit here and lie like I've seen anything out of Drake this year. I don't know what they got going on.
I've watched them beat Indiana State twice in some really fun games. But
That's
again,
a very important win there.
which league
Indiana
is better?
State should have been in the tournament, right? Did they not make it?
Well, they would have, but there were so many bid stealers, man.
Yeah. But Virginia made it.
That. Yeah, well,
That's a whole nother thing.
Yeah.
Listen
valid.
Listen to this. So the last time that Washington State made the NCAA tournament before this year, Tony Bennett, who is now at
No
Virginia,
way.
was their head coach.
dang.
Oh my gosh.
That is
In
that is pretty crazy.
2008.
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty sure I picked Drake to win this game in my brackets, but if Washington State is 3 seeds higher and you can get plus money on that, like I'm sprinkling on
Feels
it.
like good value.
I'll
in the-
sprinkle on the Cougs. They have elite social media
Yeah,
also.
they do.
Yeah, they have been
It's-
good, haven't they?
so-
what was the team that they tweeted at? Was it
Well, they
Loyola
just
Chicago or something
Well,
like that?
they
did
tweeted
tweet-
Sister Jean.
Okay, at somebody,
hot
right?
Cougs in bio.
Yes.
Yeah, that's really good. And now we can talk about Wazoo Drake, but it might not matter because whoever wins that game is going to have to play Iowa State more than likely.
Yeah, and they're going to get grinded.
They're
Iowa
wagon,
State is
dude.
16.5 point favorites over South Dakota State. Now, South Dakota State is a tournament veteran.
Yeah.
The Jackrabbits know how to play in March. I got my eye on that one, not as a potential upset. I love that number 16.5. I just feel like 135.5 also is the over-under here. So if you're not expecting a high-scoring game, feels like there's not a ton of margin for error for Iowa State in terms of covering that spread. But I think there's no way. I just can't imagine a way they blow it here.
Yeah,
They lose
the way
2
they
seed.
the way they grind teams down. Like 16.5 is a big number. Although they just beat Houston by about 30.
Yeah.
In the Big 12 championship game, but yeah, South Dakota State's one of those teams that just randomly shows up at the tournament and they hit 10 threes and you're in a barn burner
they're
with them
hanging
and you
around.
wind up barely beating them in the end.
Yeah. They got that boy Zeke Mayo that you like, right?
I do like Zeke Mayo a lot.
Yeah,
really
Zeke Mayo
good
could
guard.
be a problem for them.
But Baylor Shireman ain't walking through that door.
Putting a
That is
pin
true.
on the East region, which is a little bit like it might be a little more chalky of the regions just because we all expect UConn to kind of be the team there. And there's not really a ton of controversy with some of those games. But moving over to the Southern region, the South, where Marty Smith is from. Houston is favored to win this one. They're the 1 seed, plus 140. Duke, 5-1. Marquette, plus 550. And Kentucky, it's 6-1. Those are kind of that's an inch. Like those 4
Really?
teams right there, that is an interesting region. Just
Yeah.
that alone right there. It starts up here at the top. Houston is a 24.5 point favorite over our boys Longwood. The over-under for this game is 173.5. It's a massive game total. It's a
For
lot
this
of points.
game?
For this,
Yes.
Wait. Which
are you
one?
sure?
Maybe I'm thinking the Bama game. Maybe
You
I
are
have
thinking
it
the Bama
written down.
game. Okay.
All right. Yeah, I was gonna
like,
say.
holy
damn,
Yeah,
like,
this one
okay,
is
no, I
at
got you.
Oakland's got it at 128.
Ooh.
Quite the difference.
And see, okay, but this is another one of those weird ones where it's like 24.5 point spread and a low point total like that. It's like,
Yeah.
I don't know how the math really
That one's
shakes
tough.
out there. What is that, like 78 to 54 or something like that? I guess that could happen here. Houston could very well win this
Yeah,
game.
Longwood might not touch 50.
Yeah, I was about to say
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
That's going to be an interesting one. Now, the game that they're matched up with, Nebraska, Texas A&M, the Ags. Nebraska's a point favorite, 1 point favorites in this game. Over under looking at 147 here for the Aggies. Do the Aggies get to advance in March? Do they
No.
get to play Houston?
No.
No.
Simple.
No.
Who's our boy from Nebraska?
Keisei Tominaga is going to bomb them.
There we go. Yeah.
His,
Fred
you get
Hoiberg
over.
still cooking there?
You can
He
get
is.
Keisei Tominaga to score 15 points at plus 102.
Oh. On that.
I like
Smash.
On that.
I like that.
I mean, that kid's a
bucket.
He's a bucket for sure.
Next, we have, I would say, maybe the most popular upset pick of the tournament. Like, this is the one where your buddy who has not watched any college basketball at the office, he's coming to you and he's like, hey, I got this real big upset. James Madison versus Wisconsin. I feel like it's an obvious one. Like, it's a 12-5. I have it. I think a lot of people have it. Wisconsin favored by 5.5. Over under 145 here. This feels like one of the more fun games of the
Yeah, it
first
could be
round,
fun.
right?
James Madison is 17-0 this season when they shoot over 37% from three. Wisconsin's opponents are shooting 37.1% from three on the season. That's the
Hello.
highest
Well,
of any
there it
team
is.
in the field.
There it is.
I like that. And Wisconsin is not obviously a high octane offense. Now, James Madison averages like 85 points a game. I don't expect them to score 85 in this game, but I just wonder, like you said, if they get the 3-point shooting going, does Wisconsin have the firepower? Over under 145, so Vegas is not expecting a barn burner here. But
Wisconsin's offense for the season is 12th in efficiency nationally. So it's like you may not enjoy watching them, but they can be pretty efficient on offense.
and that's a more
AJ
of a, that's a
Story's
per
really good.
possession
Yeah.
thing, right? What's their
Yeah,
pace
that's-
looking like?
65 per game, 65 possessions
Ah,
game.
There you go.
So where's this game at?
It's in the South somewhere.
In
Let's
the
see.
South. Well, yeah, it
would
doesn't
be-
always mean the South.
It is actually James Madison, Wisconsin is in Brooklyn.
All right.
Okay.
Cool.
Naturally.
It's where it belongs. It's where everybody's going to go.
I don't understand how this game is there. Who else? So I guess Duke, Vermont. Is that also in Brooklyn?
Oh, I don't know.
Because that would be the next game. That's who they're paired up with here. We have Duke,
Oh, yeah.
11.5 point favorites over Vermont. Former Arkansas NCAA tournament foe. Over under looking at 132 for this. Duke in trouble against Vermont? 11.5?
I think it's going to be a really interesting game.
Yeah, the game's in Brooklyn too. So Vermont almost like when Arkansas went to Buffalo and
Yep.
played Vermont, they're going to have a little bit of, not to say that Vermont fans are going to show up bigger than Duke fans are. I don't believe that one bit, but Vermont's going to have some folks there.
I mean, they had a nice contingent.
They did,
at
yeah.
at Buffalo, and
Yep.
it's closer.
Yeah,
I
Brooklyn.
assume.
I
Yeah,
would assume it's not
Brooklyn's
that far away
closer.
from Vermont, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they'll have a nice little backing there. They could cover that. Vermont could.
Yeah.
I like it.
I like
now,
Vermont.
And I guess Duke, JMU, second round. Any early thoughts on that? Or Duke, Wisconsin, whatever. Duke, Wisconsin, didn't they play in the title game that one year, right? It was like Sam Decker versus Sam Decker and Frank Kaminsky versus like Grayson Allen and Justice Winslow and all those guys. Could have a rematch
that's
of the
right.
title game in
Yeah.
the second round.
Yep,
Or
and
we
our-
could have James Madison versus Vermont.
Yeah, I've got JMU winning 2 games.
Ooh, you haven't beaten Duke?
I don't think Duke makes it
Arkansas
to the
beat
second
Duke.
weekend. I
Okay.
don't think Duke makes it to the second weekend no matter who they play.
No matter who they play?
No matter who they play, they're not making it to the second weekend.
What if they play the Sisters of the Poor, John? What if they get matched up
Or the
with the
sisters
nuns?
in the poor in the field of 68? Then maybe. But no, they're not getting out of the second. They're not getting to the second weekend. So
I like it. I think I disagree. I think in my bracket, I think I had Duke going to like the Elite Eight or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I can't.
I don't like
can't
this
fault it.
region.
Duke, I feel like, has underachieved like all year.
Yeah.
And I feel like they're the type of team that, you know, we can point to their regular season stuff, but I feel like I just trust the makeup. I trust the tradition. John Shire, this is his moment. Step up and do something. Because if Duke bounces early here, John Shire all of a sudden becomes a dude where it's like none of us will respect him, and he'll lose that public perception and that respect real quick. So I don't want to say there's a ton of pressure on the Blue Devils, but I feel like John Shire. I mean, because obviously Coach K, Duke's been upset early in March before. But with Coach K, you just look. What are you going to do? Question their head coach? They have an early exit here. All of a sudden, you're like, man.
Yeah, they closed the regular season with a home loss to UNC and then lost their first game in the ACC tournament to NC State.
And they lost to Arkansas.
Yeah.
They did lose. When you lose to the Arkansas Razorbacks, it's really hard to take
They've had some head-scratching losses this year, like Arkansas and Georgia Tech back-to-back, like the Arizona loss at home, lost to Wake Forest on the road, and Pittsburgh at home.
Talking about respect to John Shire after the whole court storming thing.
Yeah. Talk about a dude who's losing a lot of respect.
He's losing a lot of respect.
Speaking of that North Carolina State team, we have one of the most fun characters in this tournament. He is a 4.5-point underdog with the Wolfpack against Texas Tech. That is a 6-11 game, if I am not mistaken. Over under at 145.5 there. I really like NC State is another team that obviously just won the ACC, kind of made a nice little run. Kevin Keatts saved his job once again, as he tends to do. Will they carry it over into March? Are they the team that just makes a run? John's shaking his head.
Nope. Just like Dennis Felton did at Georgia, 2008. Saved his job. Well, he didn't save his job. He actually made it to the tournament, won the SEC. He got to the tournament and still got fired. But no, I think that the little Cinderella story ends for NC State in the first round.
I like them for one more game, and then they're going to lose to Kentucky.
What's the big kid's name?
DJ Burns.
DJ Burns.
They got DJ Burns and DJ Horn.
Do y'all remember when I texted y'all? It was like in November. And they were playing at something. I was like, dude, NC State has this just massive dude. I was like,
he's America's large adult son.
Yes,
you should just follow him this tournament.
That's why I want NC State to win. And also, like 6'11 is another. 5'12 is the obvious like upset pick, but 6'11, there's always some weird stuff there. I believe
if NC State was matched up with somebody else here, I might see him losing. But I watched Texas Tech play 3 times in the Bahamas, and so did you. And I know teams change a lot. They didn't do anything for me, man.
Yep.
They just didn't. So I can't get behind it.
I like it. The winner of that game will advance to take on the winner of Kentucky versus Oakland. Kentucky is a 13.5-point favorite.
Yeah, I bet the over.
The over is over-under is 163 in this one, so they're expecting a lot of points. Kentucky, Oakland, do you think they're in trouble?
No.
Not in trouble?
No.
They covering that one easy?
I think
actually
so.
like the Wildcats. Like the Wildcats have seemingly turned the corner in the last 4 or 5 weeks. Whenever we went to Arlington, whenever that was, that's when Kentucky seemed to turn it around, when they scored 117 on Bama. Since then, they've actually been playing pretty good ball. I feel decent about them. I think they're going to get past Oakland here. And I don't know. I think they're getting past whoever it is in that next game. I don't think there's any real controversy there.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Now, Florida, we do not have a line for their game because they will be playing the winner of Boise State, Colorado, who play tonight.
They will lose to Colorado.
I was going to say, I wish we had a line because I would like to bet whoever it is that is playing.
What do you think it
Florida.
ends up being if it's Colorado? Like the line.
I bet it's going to be 2.5, low.
Yeah.
Like
Florida losing that big dude is a killer. Man. I hate that for him because they were really playing good.
They were, and I feel like Florida was the classic overachieving team. They've been overachieving kind of all year. I feel like they were kind of due.
They've still got some guys, but you can't lose the 7-footer like that and expect to make a run.
Well, and the winner of that game, which could be either of those 3 teams, which honestly you could talk me either one of Boise, Colorado, Florida. I feel like it's pretty much a coin flip for all of those. Even though
Boise State's never won. They made the NCAA tournament 8 times and they're 0-8.
Never won.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Does that include the first 4? So tonight could be their first.
Yeah. Yeah, could be their first.
That'd be
nice little story.
That would be a nice little story. But then will they be happy to be there? Let the Gators
Maybe.
beat them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is what it is. But the winner of that game will face Marquette versus Western Kentucky. The winner of that one.
The Horny Hilltoppers.
Yeah, the Horny Hilltoppers. Like we said, it's big. We're sex positive here on this podcast. And,
Oh, is that another phallic name?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I think so.
it can't
After
be.
after the viral,
we can sexualize anything, man.
after the viral GIF of their mascot after they won their conference tournament, sure.
Marquette is favored by 14. The over/under is 159 in this one. I've seen there's a lot. I feel like the over/unders for these high seed versus low seed are either 195 or they're 112. There's I haven't seen just a normal point spread. These are pretty high. But Marquette, I haven't watched a ton of Shaka Smart's ball club this year. Y'all like those cats?
They're good. They need Tyler Kolek healthy.
Yeah, that's why I think from a betting standpoint, I probably stay away from anything Marquette related until at least after the first game. Like if Kolek plays and he looks healthy, then I feel good about them making a run, but
Is he got an oblique?
yeah, and
Yeah,
it's
those
tough.
are-
like
those
every
are-
time you pull up for
Yeah.
a shot, dude. I mean,
Something about that 14 to 16, like that mid-teen range from a spread standpoint is always psychs me out. Because it's like if I see a team's favored by 10, my brain can comprehend that. Are they going to win by 10 or are they not? Like I can get that. Even 20, it's kind of like, all right, are they going to really blow these cats out or not? 14, 15, that's where I'm like, because at that point, it's like you're comfortably winning, but it's like, will you cover? It's just a very weird point spread. It always psychs me out.
Well, hey, here's a little stat for you. The Hilltoppers have covered the spread in the past 4 NCAA tournament games that they've played in.
Really?
Ooh.
How about
What's their
that?
coach's name? Well, I guess he's not there anymore.
he was Slick Rick. I don't
Yeah,
know who
Rick
it is now.
Stansberry?
Yeah.
Who's there now? Do we know? Just some
It
random
is
cat?
Steve Lutz.
Steve Lutz. Are they still in the Conference USA? Mm-hmm. Dude, the Conference USA, low-key, good basketball conference.
Yeah, they're not bad.
Western Kentucky's had a roller coaster. Like
They
the
won
last
their
7
conference, I'm
games, they
assuming,
lost
right?
their last 4 games in the regular season and then won their conference tournament.
I was about to say, because FAU is like an at-large straight up, right? Because they did not win that tournament.
Well, that was the AAC, but yeah.
FAU's not in the Conference USA anymore? Since when?
Realignment,
No, they're in the
man.
same league with
Nobody consulted me about this.
Yeah, when
Memphis.
Houston and Cincy moved out, FAU moved in.
Good Lord, man.
Yeah.
No respect. Hey, you see, this is messed up.
Oh, wait until next year when the Pac-12 doesn't exist and those teams are all over the country.
Oh, gosh.
Some of them are in the ACC. So
Yeah.
Western Kentucky, #1 adjusted tempo in America.
Like the fastest tempo?
Yeah, 75
Ooh.
possessions a game.
Oh,
Buckle.
man.
I kind of like that. I
Yeah,
didn't
I
know
do
they were
kinda
playing
like
that
Yeah,
fast.
that's
Okay.
a
Is that
that's
a recipe to get blown out, though?
It could be.
potentially. I mean, they play a really fast tempo and they're almost outside. They're almost 200.
What was the
in
over-under again
efficiency.
for that?
159. So
That's still a lot.
Is it
it's a
still-
lot.
is it
They're
still-
gonna have to give up a lot to cover that.
Is it
or
still
for
called
that to hit.
Havoc? Isn't that what Shaka Smart runs?
Now,
Isn't that
I
what
don't
it
think he
was?
does that anymore. That was at VCU,
Yeah,
right?
I just remember
I don't
that's
know
what they called it.
if he does that anymore. Because I mean, like, does Marquette like press?
Yeah, I mean, they still do their thing. I don't think it's at the level it was at VCU.
Because I mean, like, that's the thing
though,
with
for sure,
VCU
yeah.
is like
They
even
might be
VCU
that.
started to kind of fade a little bit whenever they started to get some NBA dudes in there. But
It might
yeah,
be a must-watch game.
that's
Yeah,
it could be
be
a
fun.
little bit of an interesting one. I think we just got to bet the over and then hope it works
leave
out.
the rest alone. Yep.
Moving on to the Western region. Now, this is among the 1 seeds. Actually, this is the only 1 seed not favored to win their region. UNC is the 1 seed. They are plus 330 to win this. Arizona is plus 230, which is kind of interesting there. Bama 7-1 and Baylor 7-1. So it seems like it's kind of like a 2-horse race is how Vegas views it. UNC's first game. Where did you have any just general West thoughts?
Well, yeah, I mean, just thinking about that, I think I tend to agree that Arizona should be the favorite to get out of there. And they have just had some weird results this year. Like they lost
Like
to
losing to
freaking
Washington State.
Beaver Fever and Oregon State. Shout out
boy.
John. But
Jordan Pope.
they've just done some weird things. But at the end of the day, I look at Arizona and I see 2 guys who have played national championship games. You know, Caleb Love, North Carolina, Keldon Johnson, San Diego State. And
Caleb
people
Love
say
might
they
get to
won
face
about-
his former team, eh?
That's what I want to see so bad. I would love to see that. Caleb Love, he caught a lot of heat for the way he played at North Carolina, and they put a lot of blame on him for that. He goes over to Arizona. He's the Pac-12 Player of the Year.
More like Caleb Haight.
Exactly.
Yeah, he's a hooper.
They're good. But Baylor, you said Baylor is 7-1.
Baylor and Bama are both 7-1.
Baylor's got the ingredients, dude. So
Yeah, I think
I
that's,
might sprinkle some
yeah.
on that.
I like
It's
Baylor.
crazy to
Bama.
me
If
that
you're betting
people
Bama
view-
7-1, Bama has zero chance of coming out of this region.
Yeah,
I'm just
they're
going to go
not
ahead and
good.
say
It's crazy to me that Bama-
zero chance. They'd have to win 4 straight games. Hell no.
Yeah.
With the way
Bama-
they defend, hell no.
Bama and Baylor being viewed the same to win this region is crazy.
If you're
seems
thinking
nuts,
about
doesn't
betting
it?
on Bama
Yeah.
to win this region, just send the just go ahead and Venmo me the money.
Yes.
Don't worry about doing that. You're just wasting it. Just go ahead and send
They're
it to
not
me.
doing
and
it. They're not
I
getting
can at
the
least
second
Help me
weekend.
keep my lights on.
I can at least get me a foot-long coney at Sonic for $1.99 today because that's what they are. But UNC's first game, they're playing Wagner. They're 24.5-point favorites. 133.5 is that over-under. Again, kind of a low point total, the high spread. But I do think UNC's not in trouble there. They will face the winner of the first game of the NCAA tournament.
First game, worst
Missis-
game?
for potentially Mississippi State taking on Michigan State. Michigan State is a 1.5 point favorite. Over under 130.5 there. So I mean, those are two ugly ones. Who do y'all like in that MSU matchup?
Mississippi State.
I like them too, man. I don't know why.
What I used my veto on them the other night when we were filling out our bracket over there. Mm-hmm. I like Mississippi
you
State.
had them beating UNC, right?
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah,
Hubbard, freshman guard, man.
Yeah, I really liked
Tolu.
Dude, his over-under for points was like 17 or 18 and a half or something like that. Because I was going to bet on him. Instead, I'm going to end up going with Tolu Smith over 13 and a half minus 104. I like that.
Okay.
Hubbard kind of strikes me as who was the dude, the little man for Kansas State last year?
Oh, Marquise Noel.
Noel. He strikes me as he could be like that guy of this tournament, just an undersized guard that blows up on somebody.
That we fall in love with.
I might hit the over
Never
with
seen
him.
a shot he doesn't like.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
Speaking of people, we mentioned Indiana State earlier. They didn't let Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in the tournament. That's a real problem. Like that, he was a guy who we 100% would have all been getting behind. We all would have been tweeting about him. Like it would have been awesome. Instead, they let Virginia score 42 points in a play-in game. That's gross.
What they get? They got to like 14 points and they didn't score for 11 minutes or something.
It's at least 9 minutes.
It was almost it was almost a literal hour of real time that they did not score a bucket.
Oh my God! See, that's terrible. I will say about Izzo though, I saw that he doesn't want mid majors getting those automatic bids anymore.
I read that too. Yeah.
I'm just like, dude, you were the most
what an
unlikable.
asshole.
Like, you're just such an unlikable dude.
Yeah, definitely give me Mississippi State.
Yeah, like I'm taking Mississippi State, but I'm
We
just
should
like,
just
what are you
let
doing?
like established conferences and established programs who made the tournament 20 years ago. We should let them in the tournament.
The worst thing that ever happened
Izzo
with
sucks.
is, dude, if he hadn't won that championship, what was it, 99 or
It
2000?
was a long time ago.
Yeah,
Yes.
if he hadn't won that national championship, he would be looked at as just like,
Has the Big Ten
like a
still
lesser
not won a
marked
title
few.
since then, or did they win one recently?
They have not.
nope.
I was say that. I think that's the
time.
last Big Ten title, which was
Michigan
whatever that
played in a
was.
championship. Indiana played in a championship.
Michigan barely played in a championship. They got hammered by Villanova.
Yeah.
That Villanova team was nasty. But
Do you guys bet on 8-9 games a lot?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
I mean
for
because
sure.
they're always like this. The lowest like 1 point things and I like that. I think it's literally like the beauty of the 8-9 game is it truly is a coin flip. Like it's very rare where you have an 8-9 game where you're like, oh, this team's favored by 8.
Two very average teams.
Yeah.
That it's always.
And I love Mississippi
There's one
State in this
exception. We'll
one.
talk about that later.
I don't understand why Michigan State is favored in this game.
I don't either. I think it was like
January, February, Tom Izzo, April.
Exactly.
it's probably some recency here, but just seeing them live in Nashville last week, I'm locked in. I think Jans is locked in.
Jans is certain that, but he is 100% locked in. Every time they would cut to him, the camera would cut to him. He was just intense. Did he lose weight? I feel like he used to be fat. Did he not? Was he never fat?
I don't think he was ever fat.
He was thicker.
I don't
I don't
know.
think fat.
I don't know why. Like whenever he coached against Arkansas, I just for some reason maybe I just saw his name and was like fat.
Jans is a fat name.
Chris Jans is a fat
Yeah.
name, but yeah, he when I saw him the other day, I was like, man, he looks great. Looks like he's been losing weight, but I guess he's
He does
always
look
been.
good.
He just doesn't have the stress of New Mexico State on him anymore.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
gonna be
it's
tough
true.
on
He
anybody.
looks brand new.
We got a couple. This is an interesting 5-4 situation here we got in this region. So we have St. Mary's is a 5.5 point favorite against Grand Canyon
This game
University.
pisses me off so much.
Over under 131.5, which I felt like was really low. And they are lined up with Bama, who is a 9.5 point favorite over Charleston. That one is the 173.5.
Might be the
That's a
funnest
big
game.
one.
If the Marquette game's not the funnest one to watch, it might be this one.
Yeah, 'cause
I
Bama's
love
gonna give up
Charleston and Pat
75.
Kelsey, man. Their coach is awesome.
And Charleston's been here before. They know what the tournament's like.
Yeah,
They're not gonna be scared by the bright lights. Neither is Grand Canyon, who I think both of those games are very volatile. This might be our best chance for like a 12-13 matchup type of thing. But I don't know. I could also see both higher seeds just advancing and it being simple. Just skipping ahead to a little bit, like if it's St. Mary's, Alabama, who do y'all favor in that game?
I like Alabama in that game, but I like Aiden Mahaney a lot. But I'd take Alabama.
I would probably take Alabama in that game too, just because they're gonna score no matter what, and I don't know if St. Mary's can score enough to keep pace.
I bet on St. Mary's when they played BYU this year. No, it wasn't BYU. Who was it that they played? It was such a pitiful performance. I'm still mad at them. I also picked St. Mary's as like my big upset one year when they lost to Arizona, and like I was really excited to watch it, and then they choked for me, so it's like I feel like they just disappoint me more than they don't, especially in these settings. Like St. Mary's is always the team on paper they like have a win over Gonzaga or something like that, and people are like, hey, they could make a run, and then they just never do.
Just a note, if you're looking for a reason to pick against Alabama in round one, Charleston, their last loss was February 1st.
That's a long time to go. I mean, Missouri basketball hasn't won
That's
in that
12
time
straight.
period.
Yeah, they've won 12 straight.
That's interesting.
I like St. Mary's. I like the Catholic schools randomly.
You think they beat Bama?
No, I wouldn't pick them to. I'd like to see what the line would be, though.
Yeah.
Because I think it'd be interesting to see that. But
I thought the GCU line would be a little bit lower. Like St. Mary's 5.5 point favorite. I thought that one would be a little bit closer.
I like
to
Grand
even.
Canyon a lot. Like they're a really dangerous team. I hate this matchup though. Like why would you take two West Coast mid-major schools and pair them up and it's like put them against different teams? Like, that's crazy. Like I'm sure there's a shitty 12 seed out there you could give St. Mary's and you could put Grand Canyon up against a bigger name and just have way more intrigue in a game. I don't like the matchup at all.
These games are in Spokane, Washington, I'm told. Interesting. St. Mary's has won games in Spokane, Washington before.
They'll probably be hated there.
Oh, yeah. I would imagine so. Yeah.
Home game for Grand Canyon.
yeah,
Who has probably the best home court advantage in the country? You guys ever see that
Yeah,
place?
yeah.
Yeah, no, I love. I was
Crazy.
almost said that. I was like, if this game were at Grand Canyon, I would like they should be favored
Yeah.
by 6.
What was the line again on that? The spread? on that?
5.5 for St. Mary's.
I think it's going to be a barn buy. Give me Grand Canyon. to
I know,
cover
like,
that.
I was
think they'll
expecting
lose,
it to
but
be a
I think
low-
they can cover that.
Yeah, 5.5 is another weird point spread where it's like you can't feel comfortable betting on it because
Yeah.
it's like it's going to come down to free throws and stuff like that. But moving on a little bit, we have a 6 seed as an underdog alert. Red alert. Clemson is a 2-point underdog against New Mexico as a 6 seed, over under 151.5 here.
Hammer Clemson.
Hammer Clemson, huh?
You got a 5 seed difference, and you get plus money on it. You got to hammer 'em. They got an All-American in PJ Hall.
He's really good.
You know, it's
Whether
crazy.
you believe it or not, like you got to.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Well, we talked about this a little bit. Like, I picked New Mexico to win. Like, when we did our thing the other day, I kind of liked them, and then I picked them in my actual bracket. And then when I saw that Clemson was the underdog, I immediately lost all confidence I had in the pick.
Yeah,
Because it's
yeah.
like, if the Sharks, if they're onto it, then it's you're no longer smart. You know what I
If
mean?
you're filling out your bracket, go for New Mexico. Cool. If you're spending money and betting,
Yeah.
Clemson, man. There's so much value there.
What you just said, Curtis, is what I'm going to do. But also,
I love that.
That's going to be a recurring theme here for March Madness, where like these things that I publicly am like, oh yeah, hell yeah, Will Wade's going to catch him. You know, like there's going to
Right.
be plenty of that going on. Yeah, that's interesting. John, do you think it's disrespectful 6 seed being an underdog in the NCAA tournament?
I don't think it's disrespectful. I think it's right. I think there should be more of those actually. That should be underdogs. But this one, I don't know, man. I always just feel like New Mexico is one of those teams. It's just weird.
New Mexico's another team. Been in March before. Been here before.
Yeah.
New Mexico shouldn't be an 11 seed. It should be
Yeah.
higher.
I agree
Yeah.
with that.
Yeah.
The Mountain
Like,
West
that's-
is tough, dude.
Yeah.
Really
But
is.
how often does it happen where the team that complains about their seeding loses? Like, I feel like that happens a good bit where you
Oh,
have
yeah.
the team that's like, oh, we're a 4, what the hell? And then you're losing to Monmouth.
Was it-
Well,
You
yeah,
know?
like they should be playing Michigan State and not,
Yeah.
not a 6
Yeah.
seed. But yeah.
Yeah, go ahead and go ahead and just switch. Yeah, Michigan State should be the 11th.
That's
seed.
correct.
Yeah,
correct.
Is that, was that Tennessee? That was like the 3 seed a couple years ago, and they were complaining
Exactly,
about it.
and they were
then
complaining
like
so
they
much.
lost in the second round.
Oh
so-
yeah, Michigan was like the 11 or whatever and got them. Yeah, I
and
remember
that was
that.
great.
We've got now we've got a matchup between teams that Arkansas has played in March Madness
In the
very
same
recently.
tournament.
Yeah, I guess it was the same year, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Baylor is a 13.5 point favorite against not Crest, Colgate. Over under, I'm reading 138.5. I don't know. I mean, Colgate, what is this, a 3-14 game here?
Yeah.
Colgate is a good program. They're here a lot, and like they but has Colgate ever actually done anything in this tournament?
No.
I don't
No.
think they've won a game before.
They were up in the first half against Arkansas for like 4
By
minutes.
2 touchdowns.
Yeah, and then they somehow did they even go into half with the lead?
I think
No.
Arkansas had like a 1-point lead or
I
something.
was I think I remember
at halftime.
Arkansas like getting down double digits and then leading at halftime somehow. Arkansas has seen firsthand that Colgate's dangerous, like a team you can't just sleepwalk. But I feel like they don't really do anything in these tournaments.
You're dangerous for like 5 minutes,
Yeah.
and then it's over with.
Well, and it's like if you just like Arkansas just locked in and beat them. So I think it might just be a situation where if Baylor just locks in and beats them.
Yeah,
We
I think
should do
I'm thinking Baylor 13.5. I think they blow
Likewise.
them out.
And then
Think they
like looking
overwhelm 'em.
ahead, I mean, I guess Baylor like is going to be favored pretty big no matter who comes out of that New Mexico Clemson game, right?
Probably so.
I don't
Yeah.
love Baylor like big picture. Like I think there's like I think there's teams I like more, but I like their draw. I feel like they have almost a cakewalk to the Sweet 16.
They've got a path. Yeah. They've got a nice path.
Moving ahead a little bit down to the bottom region, we have Dayton and Nevada. Dayton is a 1 point underdog against the 10 seed Nevada. We got another
if you've noticed, the Mountain West teams are all underseeded.
Interesting.
Like all of them.
You think they're getting disrespect?
In Dayton, there's zero justification whatsoever for Dayton to be a 7 seed in this tournament.
I thought they were on the bubble. I thought they were a team that really was struggling to get an at-large
Dayton should have played in Dayton at the first 4. Them being a 7 seed is nuts to me. I will take Deron Holmes over whatever his point total is for this game because he's a bad man, but that's all they got. I think Nevada beats him straight up.
Counterpoint, though, Curtis. Steve Alford doing a good job in Nevada. He's done a really good job taking over that mess of a program that he had to inherit. His son, Bryce Alford, you remember him when he played at UCLA? I hated that kid. That's all I have to say. I hate that. I hate the Alford family just because of that kid.
That's a great counterpoint.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to take that into account when you're betting on Nevada that the coach you're betting on has a shithead kid. You have to take that into account. But the winner of that Dayton-Nevada game will play Arizona, who, like we said, is favored to win this region. They are 20.5-point favorites against Long Beach State, who, for my money, is the worst team in this tournament. I've watched Long Beach State a weird amount because I went through a phase where I loved betting unders, and they were on at 10:30 in the morning. So I watched them back-to-back days over Thanksgiving. Long Beach State sucks.
Yeah,
they're the only team in this tournament that has 0.0% chance to win their game.
Do you remember a long time ago when 2-seed Arizona lost to 15-seed Princeton?
What year was that?
Last year.
That's not going to happen.
Lightning's not going to strike twice.
I was going to say, that's almost gives you more confidence that Arizona's not going to flop here. You remember when Virginia lost as a 1 seed and nobody picked them to make a run the next year, and it's come on. Then they won the freaking title.
Caleb Love and Kirk
Arizona might be the team. By the way, history likes to repeat itself. Virginia lost as a 16 seed and then won the title the next year. Mm-hmm. Arizona. I mean, they weren't 116, but Purdue is also in that same. We've got a lot of chance for some redemption stories here.
Purdue.
Any last thoughts on the West region before we move on to our final one, which is the Midwest?
Well, what did we decide on this Alabama Charleston over under? Is that just too much?
I think you got to bet it just for the hell of it.
I think so too, man. That's a crazy.
That's one of the over under picks I have.
Is it?
Yeah, and I've got some numbers on it. We can talk about it later, maybe.
Okay,
perfect. All right.
Moving on to the Midwest region. I feel like Purdue is the 1 seed in the Midwest region every year, just about.
It feels that way.
But they are the 1 seed here again. They are plus 175 to win this one. Tennessee is plus 350, and if you're thinking about betting that one, throw it away. Creighton 5-1. I don't hate Creighton at 5-1. I would rather it be at 6-1 or a little bit lower. But Gonzaga 10-1. I don't see any case to where Gonzaga wins this region. So
what is Kansas 70-1 at this point? I mean,
they're not top 4. I know
they're
that.
Screwed, man. Yeah.
But Purdue, we do not have a line for their first game because they will be playing the winner of, I believe, is it Howard Wagner? No, Howard Wagner happened last night. Whoever the two teams are that are playing tonight,
Montana State or whatever.
Yes. And Grambling ain't beating those boys. They don't have an answer for Zach Edey. I'm just going to assume.
They don't have an answer for Braden Smith.
Yeah.
No, they don't have an answer for anything. But no, they will be playing the winner of Utah State versus TCU. TCU is a 3.5-point favorite, which I feel like 3.5 is as big a line as you'll see in an 8-9 game usually.
I love Utah State.
I do as
Hammer
well.
that.
I think we were unanimous on Utah State whenever we did the bracket thing the other day.
It's another Mountain West.
Danny Sprinkle and the boys.
Utah State won a 6-bid league. They won a 6-bid league, and they're a damn 8 seed. That's crazy.
Yeah, it went 14
and they're a huge underdog against the
and they're an underdog? Yeah, come on. TCU lost 12 games this year, and they've lost to a lot worse teams than Utah State. Yeah, I
remember when TCU had that albino kid, Jalen Fisher?
Yeah.
That guy was awesome. I loved him.
Yeah. Also, what's the money line in that?
Ooh, let's see. I was not prepared
I think I saw
for
it
this.
at plus 155 for Utah State.
I mean, that sounds about right. Yeah. Plus 155.
I'm in.
Okay, yeah, I'm taking the money line.
on that, man.
Yeah, I like that.
You want to hear
too.
something crazy? TCU has a kid on its roster named Jameer Nelson.
That's his son, isn't it?
Oh,
it is
that's
like
right. I forgot all about him.
Right?
We're old.
Yeah.
We are old.
We're old, officially.
I mentioned
also, TCU, though, has Emmanuel Miller. You remember that kid? It felt like he gave Arkansas problems 7 years ago.
Yeah.
He's still in college, and he's still really good.
What school was he from?
He went to A&M.
That's right. Okay. Yeah, I forgot about him.
I mentioned that James Madison, Wisconsin might be the most popular upset pick. If it's not the most popular, it's the second most, and the most popular would be Gonzaga McNeese because that's where we're at here now.
Yeah.
Gonzaga's a 6.5 point favorite, which again feels very high, but I've talked myself out of McNeese and Will Wade and the boys. I don't know why. Something is just like it's become too obvious. I feel like where it's
I
like,
wish that they were flipped and they had the matchup against Kansas.
Yeah.
oh
McNeese.
yeah, Will Wade would beat Kansas.
Yeah.
And Gonzaga is a team that underachieved like crazy. They were on the bubble for a while, but Mark Few. I mean, it's just hard to. I mean,
Gonzaga's a weird
If
team
you can
'cause
get Mark Few off the alcohol, he's usually a pretty good bet. you
Mark
know?
Few too many.
Yeah.
Gonzaga's a weird team to figure out, like, because they've struggled this year, but they also just put up like 200 points at Kentucky and beat them.
Yeah.
You know,
Chet Holmgren ain't walking through that door. Jalen Suggs, he not walking through that door. The winner of
Julian
that game.
Strother's not walking through that door.
The winner of that game will play Kansas Samford. Kansas is a 7.5 point favorite over Samford. That line actually feels a little low to me. But
It does.
you like Samford?
Yeah. Kevin McCullough's not playing, dude. So
Yeah, Kansas is
who's going to score?
carrying
Hunter
good vibes
Dickinson
into
has
March.
one arm.
Kansas
They're gonna
is
have to have
carrying as
DeJuan
bad of
Wagner
vibes
score.
into March as they've ever carried.
Yeah.
Or DeJuan Harris. They're going to have
First
DeJuan
year
Harris
that Kansas
score
hasn't won the Big 12 since what, like mid 2000s?
It's been a hot minute,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's been like
Long
15
time.
years or something like that.
They were the 6th seed, I think, in the tournament this year. And like, I think it's easy for a lot of people to look at this and say, "Oh yeah, like Kansas is banged up. They're not the team they've been in the past. Like go with Samford." But I think it's legitimate this time. I mean,
Yeah.
they looked so bad without McCullough and Dickinson, and McCullough's already been ruled out. Maybe Dickinson plays. He just dislocated his shoulder. Like, so what's he gonna do? Just set on that other arm?
3.5 healthy players.
Yeah.
What you're saying?
And this is already a team
that's
that only
not
had
deep.
4 good players coming into it. Like, I don't.
Yeah, this just feels like one of those. It's like Gonzaga and Kansas are almost too obvious of upset picks, and I'm also just going to kind of trust their head coaches who have been here in these moments before.
I mean, if Bill Self can go out there and score,
Yeah,
then I
what's his post game like? Do y'all know?
better find out. They better hope KJ
If
Adams
they had
goes for
Mitch
30 or
Lightfoot,
something.
if they
Like, I
had
don't
Mitch
know,
Lightfoot
man.
on this team, I would bet Kansas without even hesitating.
Yeah, they need a Brady Morningstar type guy. They just don't have it. He ain't walking through that door either.
What's the money line for Samford in this game?
Let's see. We are looking at plus 250.
Wow.
Over under 152.5. I guess I should mention as well.
Under. I know Charles or Samford really likes to press and generate some turnovers or whatever, but Kansas doesn't have. They're not going to win this game unless they muddy it up. Like they don't have any offense. So I think they're going to have to. They're going to have to go under that.
A team that is carrying a little bit more
Fella right
positive
there,
momentum.
Akor.
Though they
He could
did
give
just get
Dickinson
beat
problems.
up. South Carolina is playing Oregon in a 6-11 game. South Carolina's favored. They're not an underdog as a 6 seed, but they are a 1 point favorite. Over under sitting at 132.5. Dana Altman's team's carrying a lot of positive momentum coming into this tournament, but they've underachieved like crazy. It seems like they maybe flipped the switch about 3 weeks ago. Are y'all buying their recent play, or do you think South Carolina just survives and advances here?
I don't think they'll survive in advance. I think they beat Oregon
Yeah, Oregon's like
plenty.
I think the Pac-12 just sucks.
Yeah, I mean, that's very possible.
I mean, isn't that like I think Oregon's beat Utah, UCLA, Arizona, and Colorado. Like they've won 4 in a row, and that's great. But I don't know if they have an answer for some of what South Carolina has. Man, I don't know.
I'm taking Dana Altman.
I'm
going with Dana
also
Altman,
taking
man.
Dana Altman, but I
going to Oregon.
am, Scotty, you'll like this. I'm taking Michi Johnson over 12.5 points, minus 104. So Michi Johnson's been struggling coming into this tournament. He was like 1 of 10 in the game against Auburn. I think he was like 3 of 10 against Arkansas. But he has taken double-digit shot attempts in like 9 straight games. And he went for like 30 not too long ago. Like he's a guy that scores for them a lot, but he's been a little quiet, suspiciously quiet. I like Michi Johnson over 12.5 points.
You
I knew
can
Scotty
get
would appreciate that one.
Colin Murray Boyles, who I love a lot. You can get him at 13 points or over 12.5 points at even money.
CMB?
Yeah, he's a player.
He is a player.
He could
he
be.
cooked. He's really good.
He's going to be a star in the SEC if he stays.
So I know you guys, you and Curtis both, y'all love South Carolina. Y'all have come all the
I
way
like
around.
South Carolina a lot.
We were hating on them when Arkansas lost to them because we thought they sucked, and now we've come all the way around. Do you see them advancing past the winner of Creighton Akron? Creighton is 12.5-point favorites. You think the Jays roll?
I do.
I like South Carolina.
I thought y'all were going to stand on business a lot firmer than that. Jeez, but so Creighton, you think they make quick work of the Zips?
Yes.
Okay.
I think whoever wins Oregon, South Carolina advances to the Sweet 16.
I see. I think when I initially filled out my bracket, I had Creighton making a deep run, and then I went back and had Oregon beating them. I changed. I was like, I think Creighton, if they get past these first two games, could make a nice little run here, because I think Texas Tennessee is who they would face next. Ideally, if the seeds went out, and I don't think Texas or Tennessee are either super scary in that situation. So I guess we should go ahead and move on and talk to them now. Texas versus Colorado State. I don't know. Why do I not have a line written down for that one?
I have it at 2.5. Texas.
I
have it at.
That's about right. Colorado State, who I guess just won last night, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I didn't watch that game. Do y'all have
They had no business being there, but yeah.
Texas 2.5. That seems low.
Very low.
But I haven't been impressed with Texas at all this year. Every time I watch them, I'm less impressed. But I feel like that's probably a one they should take care of business in. If they do,
Colorado State has one of the best point guards in the country, in Ty Stevens, and you need.
So when you said they have no
guard.
business being there, you meant they're too good. They shouldn't have been in the play-in.
They should have been Dayton.
Okay. I was literally. I was like, oh.
No, yeah.
No, you're down. Okay,
But
that makes sense.
Here's the thing with Texas for me, Max Asmus.
Okay, well, I'm glad you brought his name up, Curtis.
That's all I got.
Because I have him over 17.5 points at minus 105. We know Max Asmus.
Asmus. B is silent.
Asmus. We know he shows up. We know he's been here before. We know he put together a nice little run for Oral Roberts. I mean, he started this whole sex-positive trend in the NCAA tournament, and he was very close. He was very close to burying Arkansas. Close
man, that
to
shot
burying
was so
Arkansas.
online, man.
Also, I wanted Max Asmus to play for Arkansas. What the hell, man? Why did he go to Texas?
He couldn't play from us.
That's right.
Apparently the players that can shoot and score, they just cannot play from us. But yes, if Texas is able to get past the Rams, which, that's going to be a fun game. Tennessee is 21.5 point favorites against another sex-positive team in St. Pete.
The Peacocks.
Again, this is another weird one. Over under 129.5. Tennessee's favored by 21.
Ooh. Man,
I just don't understand. I think they're sleeping on Tennessee's offense this year.
Yeah. Tennessee's, I'm going to say, this is not a Tennessee team that's 58, 54 or whatever. They have maybe the best player in this tournament in Dalton Connect.
Facts.
I'll just go ahead and say he is the best player in this tournament.
Mm-hmm.
That dude's unreal. Yeah, Tennessee's been scoring like crazy this year.
You said 129.5?
Yeah,
129.5. So I guess they're thinking
over.
Tennessee wins 80 to 50 whatever. I don't know. That it just seems 80-59 I guess would be that. But I don't know, man. I just feel like St. Pete. I haven't watched any of St. Pete this year. Make it a track meet. Score some
St.
points.
Peter's. Don't they have the North Little Rock kid hooping for them?
I'll take your word for it.
Who is that?
Right. I think
I'm
that
pretty
is
sure.
Right.
Corey Washington. Yeah. He's one of their better players.
Well, there you go. St. Pete.
I think
they can
it's
score
St. Peter's.
60. If they score 60, that over under hits, right?
Surely, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, because Tennessee would just have to score 80 at that point. No, they would just have to score 70.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Dude, if St. Pete can score 60 against Tennessee,
Yeah.
even Arkansas did that on Mountain
I'm
Time.
smashing the over on that.
Yeah, I love that over.
And here's what I'll say about that potential second round.
I was about to say, we got a burn orange matchup potentially.
If Colorado State advances, I think Tennessee cruises. But there's something about Tennessee, Texas.
It's all that orange, dude.
How about that Rick Barnes angle, first of all?
Yeah.
But I don't like. I'd be interested to see what the line is for that, because I feel like that's a just from a matchup perspective.
Yeah.
That Texas could have some success there.
Okay, guys. We've now completed the entire tournament. Mm-hmm. We've made it through. Now we're probably gonna do another one of these next week before the Sweet 16 Elite 8 games, I would imagine, right? So we don't have to get too big into this, but I just wanted to get a few on your head. Just the odds will change between now and then. UConn is 4-1 to win the national title. Does that feel like a good bet to you guys? We've talked about we all kind of expect them to win. I think I said 25% of the brackets picked them to win, so 4-1 kind of makes sense. Does that feel right to you?
Sure.
Yeah, I say so.
Who do y'all think is the next best odds? Just without looking.
Arizona.
Not correct.
Purdue.
Purdue is third.
Houston.
Houston
I'd
is
say it's
plus
Houston
575. Purdue plus 615. Arizona 14-1. If I were going to bet on someone to win the national title, I'm not saying Arizona is going to do it. I love their odds though. I think I think they should be single digit, 9-1 type of thing right there.
Okay.
If you want to bet on the conference to win, Big East plus 280. Which honestly, I feel like if you were going to bet on the Big East, I would just bet on UConn.
Which is interesting. And you got Marquette as a 2 seed in there, and who's the other Big East team? There's one more. They only got 3 in the freaking tournament.
Who else
crazy.
is in there?
Yeah,
They're not going to win the national title.
Though, Creighton. So you have a 1, 2, and 3.
Wow.
That's actually not horrible.
Yeah.
Plus 280. But I just feel like if you're going to do that, you might as well just bet UConn, right? 'Cause I don't think Marquette is winning the national title.
Nah, not without a healthy coach.
Big 12 plus 300. Who are they counting on? I guess Houston. Houston is technically in the Big. I was about to say, I was like, dude, who the hell? They think that Kansas? Big 10 plus 450. Hell no. Southeastern Conference plus 525.
That's interesting.
I'd take that.
I think
Just
that's
fun.
not horrible because I think Kentucky and Tennessee technically have a chance
they
to win it.
could. Yeah, right.
And Auburn exists. A&M also exists.
Listen, I don't like Auburn that much.
No,
Yeah.
I definitely don't like Auburn that much. But I think if you were gonna, I would rather bet the Southeastern Conference than one of those teams for sure.
I just wish they were on the opposite sides, Tennessee and Kentucky, where they didn't have to face each other in the Final Four if they did.
Yeah.
Like that would have been nice.
Well,
What was the Big Ten odds, or did you?
Yeah,
have
no,
them?
the Big Ten was plus 450 to win the title.
They love Purdue.
I got a few others that I want to throw away before we get out of here real quick.
Okay.
So any 12 seed to win a game is minus 400. Yes. Plus 290. No. Y'all think the 5
I'm
seeds
taking
can
plus
take?
290.
I was about to say, y'all think the 5 seeds can just take care of business?
I mean, that would
need
mean St. Mary's, Gonzaga, Wisconsin, and San Diego State. Sure.
The Gonzaga and Wisconsin aspect of that are tough to me. But yeah, I mean, plus 290 for four favorites to win. I don't hate that. For any 13 seed to win, it is minus 127 for yes, and it's even odds for no.
I'm sorry, a 13
For a 13
seed?
seed just to win one game.
Samford's your
Average or one.
possibility there.
I still like
Vermont.
even odds no.
It's Vermont, Yale, Samford, and Charleston.
Ooh, Charleston's
damn. Yeah.
A minus 127 for yes just feels incorrect to me a little bit. Like I would like it a lot more if it was like plus 150.
Yeah, right.
Any 14 seeds to win, that is plus 140 for yes, minus 182 for no. I don't know if there's any
Colgate, Moorhead, and Oakland.
Yeah,
Moorhead.
I like that.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I think that minus 182, it's a ugly number. You never want to bet on minus 182 in anything. I think I might do that though. I don't think a 14 seed's winning a
No,
game
I
here.
I would
either,
like it
yeah.
better if it was minus 800.
Now here's one that's interesting. 14. No, I guess I should go ahead and just mention 15 seed plus 275 for yes, minus 375 for no. Pretty cut and dry there. 16 seed plus 750, minus 1667 for no. Obviously, don't bet on the nose there. Like if you're going to bet on that, just don't. If you want to do anything, just bet yes. If you want,
Kind of surprised the 15 was that. What'd you say?
plus 275. So it's like
Jesus.
minus 375 for no. But if you wanted to bet just 14, 15, 16, you just got to get one of them. Minus 148 for yes and plus 118 for no. Boys, that plus 118 for no.
I'm going to go do that right now.
I was like,
Yeah.
dude, I just don't think. I mean, it does happen literally just about every year.
Yeah,
But
still, like
we chalking it up this year?
yeah,
It
let's
can
chalk
happen. It
up.
has happened before.
It has happened before. I mean, dude, everybody always makes fun of the people who pick all the 1 seeds, but it happens like every 5th year where all the 1 seeds make the Final Four. And you're like, oh, okay, I guess we should have done it. Speaking of the 1 seeds, for a 1 seed to win the NCAA tournament, minus 134, yes, plus 105, no. That feels like an okay yes to me.
Yeah, I'd say yes.
And then for a 2 seed to win the NCAA tournament, plus 300 for yes, minus 435 for no. Who's the dude that's laying minus 435 on a 2 seed to not win the tournament? like, I just know there's not going to be a 2 seed. And then the 3 and 4 seeds are both plus 700 to win the title. I don't hate both of those. Plus 700 on both of those feel fair to me. Maybe that's what I'll do. I'll be the guy. No on the 2 seeds. We're going to cheer against all the 2 seeds, and the 3 and 4s and 1s we'll cheer for.
That's fair.
I kind of like that. I've talked myself into it. I'm about to lay minus 435. Well, it has been a productive, return for the gambling show, which is still unnamed and probably will always be unnamed. Hey, it's not unnamed. It's just the Natty State Sports Gambling Show, right?
It's very generic named.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're there. I mean, you know what? If y'all have a problem with it,
It gets
sue
the
us.
point across.
Yeah, there is no misconception about what it is. It is the Natty State Sports Gambling Show, and it's been a fun one. And I guess we'll be back next week at some point, maybe Wednesday or Thursday, to preview the next round and react to all the things we got wrong and have y'all yell at us. But it's been fun, boys.